everyone, this is Jeanette Davila with Bikini Pro News. Today I am interviewing Daraja Hill coming into the Arnold Classic. I am super excited. Thank you. Thank you so much for making this happen today. I know you have a busy prep going on.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, I'm excited to be on. I actually remember when I ran into you at NPC Nationals in 2018. I was like, I just can't wait one day to be interviewed by
I
you
get
guys.
goosebumps.
Yeah, because I mean, I would watch these like getting so excited just to be, motivated for my own prep as an amateur. And now I'm like, here.
Isn't it crazy though? Like you manifested. I remember you walked in and you told me you're like, "Oh, I'm going to be in that page. You're going to interview me." I'm like, "I know. Look." I'm
Yeah.
super excited. So, for those of you who might not know you, and I would love to get to know your background of what were you doing or what got you into bikini before you even competed.
So I do have an athletic background. I was a tennis player for a long time. I started competing in tennis at around 10 years old. And then after high school, after being competitive and going through, my routine, my training for years, I kind of wanted to just see what it felt like to be a little more normal. Obviously, as student athletes, you're busy with competition, tournaments, school, traveling. So there's not a whole lot of time for much social life. And yeah, college was that perfect time for me to kind of just break away from that and figure out what I wanted for myself, you know. And that's when I kind of got into weightlifting because I needed something, I needed a new goal, a new outlet to kind of better myself. Because I like to be busy. I'm not really someone that likes to just kind of not really do much because then I kind of just go crazy.
Yeah, I feel
uh,
you.
so I got into weightlifting too because I wanted to kind of change my body a bit. I'm not naturally curvy, like whatsoever. I'm pretty, I built pretty straight up and down. I got, broad shoulders. I don't have the tiny waist, and then I have pretty narrow hips, so it's not like I just walk around, looking curvilicious all the time. Um, and then, so I started, that was around the time too that I started following some of these Fitsbos on Instagram, but I would follow the ones that, just are naturally built thicker in the lower body, but can maintain that small waist
Of course,
where,
that can relate more to you. Of course.
exactly. And, so some women, at the time I wasn't as educated on it, but, I thought that if I just, did what they did or I worked out hard enough or I built, enough of a lower body and did things, do more cardio, blah, blah, whatever, that I would eventually start to look like them. And that was just not in the cards for me. I'm someone genetically too that I'll hold more body fat in my trunk and in my thighs. So that's just like not a good combination.
No, and I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of people, I feel like all of us, not a lot, all of us, I do it myself. We are
Mhm.
constantly comparing ourselves to other people just because we feel like they fit our body type. And
Mhm.
realistically, there's a lot of things that take place, not just dieting.
Exactly.
So I'm glad you mentioned that because I know there's other people out there that feel the same. Oh, I want to look like her, or I can never look like her. Like, that's not the point. We have to look like
Mhm.
ourselves, but we follow
Exactly.
people for inspiration.
Right. And there's a fine line too to be drawn with, looking towards other people for inspiration and motivation, but and then looking towards other people wanting to be like them and kind of fit that mold.
Definitely.
And yeah, it's hard to find the balance for sure. And I lost, perspective for a little while, which is actually how I got into competing because I was weightlifting for about like 2013, 2014 to 2018. All lower body. I had never touched an upper body weight because I didn't want to be like bulky. Because obviously it's a very common misconception
Yeah,
that
definitely. I know.
upper body, yeah. So after that, lifting glutes and legs like 3 days a week, I was like just kind of stuck. I kind of plateaued, I guess, and I was losing motivation and didn't really feel like going to the gym. And I would too was at home, scrolling through Instagram, comparing myself to these girls, and really just like loathing the way I was looking. Like I was so unhappy. And Keith, my fiance Keith, He's like, baby, you need to really just be more productive with this. Like, stop scrolling through and looking at these girls like this. Like, it's so self-destructive. And at the time, I was like, I don't have a problem. Like, I'm fine. Like, this is working.
Like, I got this.
Right. I was like, I have a handle on my life. And, but I finally gave in and I was like, you know what? He's right. And he was like, you should either do powerlifting meet or you should do a bodybuilding competition. And at the time, I was super, intrigued at the idea of doing powerlifting because I love squatting and deadlifting. But obviously, you also have to bench, and I was not going to do that. so
That's true.
So then, yeah. So it was right around the time of the 2018 Arnold Bikini International. Angelica was, the poster bikini girl, and she had just won it the year prior. So she was on a lot of the promo stuff. She was kind of that, first introduction to what bikini was for me. And I was like, wow, like these girls have muscle, they have shape. And I just loved the posing and the suits and
Yeah,
the
the whole
hair.
posing, that's I know.
Yeah. Obviously, there were other divisions, and actually, I was told that I would be better suited for figure, just with the fact that I had, I was lower body dominant, had the structure for figure. I have the broad shoulders, the smaller, waist and hip proportions, and I had, quads and hamstrings. And for a little bit, I started to get a little discouraged
Because you wanted to do bikini.
Yeah, I loved bikini, and that was something that I had to really understand was that, you can't just pick a division because someone tells you that that's the division that you should be in. I've gotten DMs from girls that are like, well, my coach thinks I should do wellness, or my coach thinks I should do women's physique, but I love bikini. And I'm like, you could do what someone else is telling you that you should be doing, but you won't feel that burning passion and desire to put the work in
Definitely.
the stage if it's not what you really want.
Definitely. I agree.
So I said, forget y'all, like I'm doing bikini. I know what I want. And I mean, here we are.
How exciting. You see, what if you wouldn't have gone for it? Because a lot of people would say, you know what, I'm just not going to do anything if I'm not meant to do this that I want to do. Like in your case, bikini, they would have probably quit already.
Right.
But you did, and you said, I'm going to do it. And what if it doesn't happen? Then it doesn't, but you gave it a try, which I'm glad you did. Super happy you did.
Me
So
too.
your first show, your first amateur show was the Dexter Jackson Classic that you got first place.
It was the Chris Edie in the NPC Southeastern in Orlando.
Okay, and that one you placed on.
I got first in novice and second in my open class.
Nice. And how do you feel coming into that first show, like as bikini?
I was just excited. I was so excited. I was like, I'm doing it. I did I prepped, I think, for I want to say 10 to 12 weeks. It was not long enough, in my opinion. Now, I'm looking back in hindsight, I know better. I just really wanted to do that show because it was in a good location. I had a place, to stay. I had family there. And it was easy to travel to because I'm in Naples, so I could just drive up.
Yeah, so it was worth it.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm just going to do that show. And I had so much fun. I went into that show with no expectations, obviously, and just wanted to soak it all in, learn as much as I could. And, after I got off stage for prejudging, I just was like, I know I want to do this again. I want to get better and improve and be better for the next time I'm on stage.
Especially that you went in as a bikini competitor. That's what you wanted in the first place.
Yeah, and I had, the short hair and everything. I was like, because wigs are expensive, and prep is expensive, and I was new, so I just, I'm going to go up and own all of this and see what happens.
Nice. And then right after there, you competed on your next show, which you did end up doing Dexter Jackson.
That was it. Yeah, that was in my second
And you
show.
placed first on that one.
Yes, I won overall on that show.
Oh, how exciting. I know, I was looking at it, I'm like, that's so cool though, that you went in and you freaking owned it, like first, second place, and then now for the Dexter, you got first place. So tell me a little bit about that one. You were prepping for it. Did it just happen right after you decided, okay, I'm going to jump on this one?
So there was a girl that was competing with me locally. She's like, we went to the same gym together. and she had done the Chris Edie that show. And then she was like, "Well, you should do this other show in Jacksonville. It's the Michael Jackson Classic." And I was like, "Okay, like sure."
Let's do it.
Plus, I had lived in Jacksonville before I moved to Fort Myers, Naples area, so I figured that was perfect. Like, will be, you know, not a foreign area to be in. So I just went and I did it. At the time, I didn't even know who Dexter Jackson was, believe it or not. Didn't.
That's crazy, but it happens.
Yeah, I had no idea. Um, and so again, like just learning, soaking it all in. And it was a lot of fun too. I made some new friends. Some of them are
I know. He's being part of the interview.
what is the problem? Some of them are teammates now, actually, and work with either me or my posing coach for posing and stuff. So it's just super cool to really have a relationship with the girls that I had met.
Definitely. That's what I love the most about this industry is the
Yeah.
relationships we build on the way. That's very beautiful. So then what made you jump into a pro show? What made you say, okay, I'm going to be a pro?
So it's funny after North Americans, obviously I won my pro card last 2019 North Americans, and I really just before we had even made a decision about that show, we wanted to hear back from Sandy and the other judges on the panel to just know, from their perspective, because they've judged Olympians, they've judged that caliber of professional athletes. And if she had said, "Hey, I think you need to take, some time to grow a little bit, and I don't think you're quite ready to hit the pro stage," then that's exactly what I would have done because I just have such a respect for the sport. I wouldn't want to just jump on a stage.
Just to jump on the stage.
And I want better for myself in that aspect too. I don't want to just because then you already kind of know what your feedback is going to be. You already know that you need to grow. You already know that you're not there yet.
Yeah, definitely.
But also with getting the feedback from the professional stage, going into an off season, we have an idea of what we want to work on, given what the judges had to say after being compared to other pros. Going into an off season not quite knowing what exactly we need to work on, you can make improvements, but you also just don't have that blueprint that you might need to guide where you're trying to improve. So
I agree. No, and that's great because a lot of people, again, we tend to jump because we just want to be pros, right? But it's not about us wanting to be pro. It's about us being ready for
exactly.
it. Because again, being once we are amateurs. I mean, I competed in the amateur 5 times. I stepped once on a pro stage, which was the North American one that you got your
Okay.
pro card, and of course I got last call out, like the very last. But for me, that's when I realized that okay, the amateur and pros are two different levels. Because amateur, I was placing always top two, and coming into a pro show, I placed last, and I'm like, okay, now I need to step back and then really focus on either if I want to do this or I need to prep the right way to become a pro.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you mentioned that because it's true. It takes a lot.
And to the girls that because it's a very common thing to hear. Oh well, then once you get your pro card, you need to start back at the bottom and work your way back up, and get the judges to recognize you, know who you are, and you're not going to place well unless you're showing up constantly doing all these shows. And I'm proof that if you bring the right package, that's not necessarily true. You don't have to beat yourself to the ground trying to show up to these shows, show after show after show. Obviously, when you're that lean too, as a female, you're losing muscle
Yep.
and shape as these shows go on. And when
Just
you
keeps
could
adding
be
up.
using that time, yeah, you could be using that time to grow.
Correct.
So
I agree.
that's something to keep in mind also.
So I know that I know that you became a pro on the North American. Tell me real quick about that. Like you came in, I know you wanted to own it. You said I'm going to be a pro, but when they really called your name that you are a pro.
So it was funny after prejudging because it was me. I like how they do this now. Obviously not while I'm on stage because I want to know, but they do an even numbered call out, so you don't know necessarily who's going to be in first or second. So I was splitting center, and honestly, when I walked off that stage, I started to tear up a bit because I there was just something that really made me feel like that was my moment. Like it had just happened. Um, Whether that meant that I got second and I didn't get my pro card, or it did mean that I got my pro card,
Correct.
I just felt so content and at peace that we had just done exactly what we came there to do.
That's I get goosebumps, but look at I'm not lying. I'm like, oh, it's true
Yeah,
though because you're in that, especially when you're right in the middle. You're like, okay, is this they're playing trick on me? Like, am I getting this? Am I not? And at that point, all you have to do is wait. Like, there's nothing else.
yeah.
So I can just imagine all your emotions. Like, so okay, so coming right after your pro card,
Hmm.
a few weeks later, you won Tampa Pro. Am I correct?
The Hurricane
The
Pro.
Hurricane Pro. Okay,
Mhm.
and you were not expecting that, weren't you? Because your face, you're like Hurricane Pro, like.
Yeah, no, I was not expecting that at all. I really was just, I wanted to be maybe top 10 or like make a first call out.
Yeah,
That's
you're
all I,
like, I'm gonna go in and just show face and get
right.
my
I'm the
package.
kid on the block, I just want to come and, show what I've got, what I'm working with. Um, and it was enough to win first place.
How exciting. But then that year, you didn't qualify for the Olympia because of the points.
No, I did. It was last year, so it was right after the cutoff.
Right after, okay, that's what I was
So
confused.
they
I
had
was like,
just changed the rule. They had just changed the rule, and then I got on stage and won first and qualified for the Olympia.
wow, so that was an amazing year, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Like, you're telling me this, and I'm
my
like just picturing
timing,
it, like, holy moly, like,
timing is crazy.
oh my God. And now coming into the Arnold, it is your first Arnold.
Oh yeah.
So this is something that obviously you, since you became a pro, or even before you would focus on, like just like the Olympia. What
Hmm.
have you done different, like prep wise, from your last shows to coming into the Arnold?
So something because I've been working with Paul Davila, my coach, for it'll be 2 years in July that we've been working together in our second prep together. Second, third, our third prep together. And so we are learning a lot about my body and how it responds to certain things, how we fill out versus depleting versus how we respond to higher cardio, lower cardio, stuff like that. And so we aren't changing much, but we just know more.
Correct.
So, and what something we really wanted to do was be ready early. And so that we have a little more, not freedom, but a little more room to really test some things and see how we're looking, filled out versus depleted, and really know if we want to come down more or fill out more, just little things like that.
That's good. That's good that you guys, are balancing it out. But I'm super excited for you. Are you right after the Arnold? I mean, I'm hoping and I'm cheering for you for that top
Thank you.
line, right? Like, yes, that's where we all want to be at.
Right.
Are you planning, regardless of winning or not placing, doing another show?
So we'll see. We'll see how the Arnold goes. I do love Joe Pashkula. I really do. And he's been a great resource for both Paul and myself. Um, he's judged me, I don't know how many times now, like I think 3 or 4. And he's just given great feedback, and he's been a great resource for us with learning and navigating, this community and this sport. So we'll see. But he does have a show coming up this spring, so
So you might not mind, but
he might, yeah.
nice. Definitely let us know. So before we end the call, is there any advice or tips that whoever's watching you right now in this interview can take from either amateur or pro that you have learned that you feel like it has really changed you?
I think because Paul and I obviously we do a very unconventional way of prepping with the flexible dieting. Um, And it's not for everyone, but I've learned so much about food and how my body responds and likes certain foods. And, I do create my own meal plan, even though we are flexible dieters. I do eat the same foods, on a daily basis. So just to know that there's more than one way to do things. So if you're doing something that doesn't necessarily align with your philosophy, or you don't necessarily agree with a way that you're being coached to do things, just know that there are other options if it's not working for you. And, obviously, vice versa. Um, and to just really strive to be your best self. I mean, I can't say that enough. And it sounds so cheesy and so corny, but it is so important because once I started really aspiring to be my best self, it was it was really that turning point that not only allowed me to have the kind of influence that I wanted to have on other women and other people to to be encouraged and inspired. Because that's something that I've always wanted to kind of make some sort of impact. And I thought that I had to assimilate it and be like other people to do that. But it really just came from me embracing me and who I am and being my best self that now is encouraging and inspiring other people to do the same. And like, it's just the most amazing feeling. So, and don't compare your journey to anybody else's journey. Like, some people do things in a shorter amount of time. Some people, take a little longer to get there, but it doesn't matter. Like, that you can take notes and you can, get advice and feedback from other people. That's a
Definitely.
thing to do because that's how you learn. But just know that those are all tools that you can put in your toolbox for to create your own path. So
And I love that, Tara. I really do, because again, referring to me and anybody who might be watching you, we all go through that stage that, do like the eating. I feel like that's one of the main things about either competing or not. Like, people don't feel like they can eat 3 meals a day, or they don't know about portion, or they don't want to eat
or
fish and
carbs or
asparagus all day, or, like they have all this bad mind, like negative mindset about nutrition or dieting.
Mhm.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I know there's other girls out there that might feel that way, or I don't know if I want to compete because of the
Right.
meals, or, that there's
I
always
listen. I
options.
haven't had an ounce of tilapia since I started my prep for the Arnold. Not an ounce.
And that's crazy. And there's girls who just, do tilapia through the whole prep, and there's others who have
Or just chicken. I don't even like
chicken.
chicken. I don't like chicken personally. I don't eat it in my prep because my body doesn't.
Doesn't do
It
well.
doesn't agree with
Yeah,
me.
I get bloated myself. Not nothing to do with prep, just in
Same thing
general.
with turkey. I can't do it too much, or I'll get bloated and it'll slow my digestion. So yeah, I just don't eat it.
But those are things that I'm glad you mentioned, because again, I know a lot of girls feel that, whether it's competing or not, just going into a nutrition, they feel like they have to do it a certain way.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. But I want to thank you so much again for having some time to do this interview with me today. I won't be at the Arno, unfortunately. My husband will, because I
Okay.
just had a newborn in like last month.
Oh my gosh.
Our second baby, so I can go to the Arno once again. But I will be cheering for you girls from Miami. And if you need anything, we're here for you guys, okay? As we support you guys left and right. We did that page for you guys. So please, whatever you guys need, we're here, okay?
Thank you. I
Wish,
appreciate it.
well, again, wish you the best at the Arnold Classic, and kill it, girl. You got this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.